Okay, so hello everyone. So we'll be discussing about the structure of chloroplast and that is related to the photosynthesis. So before I start, let me just check if I'm live here. Just a second. Okay. All right. So before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I'm an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So join with us in Telegram for homework and class notes. You can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology and the Telegram channel of Unacademy, ICSE and ISC both. So this link you can find in the description box. So in description box you will find the link of the Bucks Bounty, the community link, the special class link as well as Unacademy, ICSE and ISC boards. So this link you can find. So just go to the description box, click on these links and join the respective channels there. Okay. So special classes are conducted on Unacademy platform. So that is one second. Yeah. So here you can learn from your favorite educator for free. So different educators are there for different subjects. So you will have access to all the subjects once you take the subscription. And other than that, here anyway, the special classes also you will have access, but only a certain percentage of topics will be covered here in a special class. So you can learn from your favorite educator for free, engage with educator via poll, clear your doubt in the live special class. So basically there is a question tab where you can type in your question, attach an image and send it to the educator during a live session. So they'll be getting a notification that the learner has asked the doubt and will be clearing your doubt. Also we'll be conducting a quiz on platform, that is Unacademy platform. So all you need to do is download the Unacademy Learners app and start taking up the sessions or the quizzes which are happening there, which are again gonna help you in cracking your finals. So go for it. Okay. And these are basically the plus classes where 100% syllabus coverage will be done here. So that is exhaustive coverage of a syllabus will be done. So main features of this is you can learn live from the comfort of your home. Unlimited access to all the courses will be there, like different educators will come up with different courses. So you will have access to all the courses once you take the subscription. Then top educators of India are going to take the classes in one platform, that is Unacademy platform. Regular doubt clearing session will be done, that is after about every 3 session the fourth session will be your doubt clearing session. So whatever doubts you have related to the topics that are previously covered, so you can clear your doubt in the doubt clearing session. Then the 100% syllabus coverage will be there. Mentorship and guidance is given. Study material is given, which will be uploading in the form of PDF itself, so that you have access to download it. So you can just download and start studying the same. The practice tests are given, the live test series are conducted, and also you will have access to batch courses. Okay, so you have we specifically have a batch in English as well as English. So you have access to both of these batches once you take the subscription. And with that there is a daily practice section as well. Weekly mock test series are conducted. So right now there is a scholar test series which is going on, so you will have access to those test series as well. Live quizzes are conducted, daily MCQ and subjective test series are also conducted. So this is my code VANIYT, and I usually recommend you all to go with the 12 months of subscription. So that is a 1 year subscription. So with 12 months of subscription, so let's say you are subscribing for class 10, so you will be getting class 11 and class 12 subscription absolutely free. So that means you need to go for 12 months of subscription for class 10. So you will be getting class 11 and 12 subscription absolutely free along with this. Or if you just want to try like how exactly this works, so you can even try with 3 months or maybe 6 months of subscription. And this is my referral code VaniYT, where you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. All right, so let's get started. So that is about the photosynthesis, and we'll also be discussing about the structure of chloroplast. Just a second. Okay, I'm audible, right? All right, so let's have a look at this introduction. So autotrophs, organisms that produce their own food. So basically what exactly is photosynthesis we'll be discussing, and also I'll explain you about the structure of chloroplast, like how exactly you can go while they are as this particular structure of chloroplast is even asked in your final exam. So make sure that you do all the labelings properly. So I'll just explain you how you can go about this. And yes, so basically introduction to photosynthesis. This is, now when we mention photosynthesis, as the name itself suggests, so using the light, photo is what, so using the light is there, so using light, synthesis of food is being done. Okay, so that is synthesis by light, or food synthesis by light, so that is a photosynthesis. Okay, so autotrophs when we mention, so organisms which produce their own food, that is, they have a specific pigment where they can capture this particular sunlight. So we don't have that pigment, so we cannot prepare the food in our body like the plants do. So we are taking an external source of food. Here in case of plants, they have a chlorophyll where it can absorb the sunlight, and it can undergo lot of changes, like lot of chemical dialogue or chemical reaction that will occur, and by that there is basically food synthesis. So that is glucose is being synthesized, which is later on converted into starch, or maybe there is a formation of sucrose can occur, and also there is a starch formation which can be done. So basically it is the starch that is being stored in the plant body. So autotrophs are those organisms which produce their own food, that is through the process of photosynthesis. Now what exactly is photosynthesis? The process through which the green plants convert the carbon dioxide and water into glucose, so that is in the presence of a sunlight. So in that case, now what is required, so there is a plant. Okay, and this plant when we mention, so this is having the leaf. So let's say there is a leaf. Okay, and from the atmosphere, so this is gonna take up the, okay, so let's say this, so this is the leaf now, and from the atmosphere, that is through, let's say this is the lower surface now, so that is the ventral surface of the leaf, and you can find a large number of stomata there. Okay, so there are a large number of stomata that you can find. So now with respect to that, so what exactly you can find, so here basically the carbon dioxide can be taken through the stomatal pore, oxygen can be taken through the stomatal pore. So basically gaseous exchange can be seen, and with this gaseous exchange that is happening, atmospheric carbon dioxide is the one which is required, that is a raw material. So oxygen is anyway given out, so that is in the photosynthesis process. So now with respect to that, this carbon dioxide is taken in, that is through the stomatal pore, so which is one of the raw material. Then what else is required? So that is through the root. So here the roots are present. So now through the root the water absorption will occur and it will reach a specific site where the water is also supplied. So that is mainly the mesophyll cells. So that is palisade mesophyll cells are there. Then there is spongy mesophyll. So with respect to that, you can see, so this one is a palisade and then there is a spongy mesophyll. So with respect to that, you can see there is a passage. Okay, so that is water is transported through this medium. So these are the two raw materials that are required, and other than that, so this is carbon dioxide is there, so which is coming from the atmosphere, so that is taken through the stomata. So carbon dioxide, then there is a requirement of a water which is, you know, the in the presence of the sunlight. So basically sunlight, the photons are absorbed, that is by the chlorophyll. Okay, so there is a chlorophyll. So in the presence of chlorophyll, so basically there is a synthesis of glucose and oxygen is released, and also there is a water release. So you can just have a look at this. So there is a oxygen release, there is a glucose release. So 6 of the carbon dioxide and 6 of the water, and along with that there is 12 of the water actually. Okay, and with that you can see glucose that is being produced and the water. So with respect to that, you know, it is 12 here. And moving on to next one, so what exactly is the importance of photosynthesis? Why exactly this why exactly this process has to occur, that is photosynthesis has to occur? Any idea on this? Any of you? No idea why exactly there is a requirement of photosynthesis? So photosynthesis occurs, so this is, you know, plant is the primary producer. So for all of us, like be it a vegetarian or be it a non-vegetarian, like, you know, whatever may be the source of a food, so now ultimately we are all depending on plants for the food. Okay, so that is the primary producer, and that's the reason we call the primary producer, because we are consuming a plant, and then, you know, in turn we are like let's say we are consuming an animal, so in that case that is again in turn that is depending on the plant itself. So with respect to that, the primary producer is a plant which is the primary source of food on earth. So who is having that capacity? It is the plant which is having a capacity to absorb the photon from the sunlight, and you know that is at the site of the chlorophyll, and you can see the photosynthesis occurring there. Okay, so now green plants, when we mention, so they release oxygen. So this is with respect to photosynthesis process. When we mention, carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is released out. Okay, so this is for a photosynthesis process. But the reverse you can see with respect to respiration process. For respiration, when we mention, oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is released. So with respect to that, so there is a huge variation that you can find, but yes, anyway both of the gases are being used here for the plant physiology. Okay, so now the oxygen released by the green plants, so that comes from the water and not from the carbon dioxide. So one of the theories says that the oxygen what you are getting here, so this oxygen is basically coming from the water and not, so basically it is coming from the water and not from the carbon dioxide. Okay, so that means the release of oxygen which is occurring, so that is splitting up, like, you know, split up of a water you can see. So when the split up, so let's say I'll just write it here itself. Okay, so when the photolysis occurs, so then when the water is being split up, so that is photolysis of water. When we mention, so water is being split up, that is by the light. So in that case, two of the water molecules, let's say they are being split up. So four of the protons are produced and four of the electrons are produced, and then there is a oxygen release. So that means the oxygen which is released, okay, so this oxygen is coming from water. So oxygen which is there, so that oxygen is coming from water and not from the carbon dioxide, because photolysis of water is occurring and that is the one which is releasing water then. Okay, so now where exactly photosynthesis occurs? So the site of photosynthesis, so this is in case of chloroplast which contain a chlorophyll. So chloroplast containing, there is a cell organelle called as a chloroplast, and that chloroplast is the one which contains the chlorophyll. And here, at the site of the chlorophyll itself, you can see many more reactions that are going to occur. So now chloroplasts are present in the parenchymatous cells of the leaf mesophyll. So where exactly do you find that leaf mesophyll? So let me just draw this. Okay, so there is a cuticle. Okay, so this one is what? This is a cuticle. So this is the upper covering, the waxy layer covering which you can find. So now this is a cuticle. So this is the upper epidermis. Just below the cuticle you can find there is the upper epidermis. So these are the epidermal cells where you can find which is again providing a protection itself. So this one is the upper epidermal cell. Okay, so I'll just label this. So this one is what? This is cuticle, all right, which is just a waxy coating that you can find on the leaves, that is to prevent the degradation easily. And this one is upper epidermis. Okay, so this is upper epidermis. Then also you can see there is a palisade mesophyll. So let me just draw the palisade mesophyll, which are actually columnar in nature. So you can just I'll just change this. So these are columnar in nature. Okay, so that is you can just find them like column like cells. So something like this. So these are columnar cells, so which are called as a palisade mesophyll. So these are palisade mesophyll, and just below this palisade mesophyll you can find the spongy mesophyll as well. So let's just complete this. So this one is a palisade mesophyll having its own nuclei there, and also you can find a chloroplast. So let's draw the chloroplast as such. So there are many more chloroplasts that you can find, which is basically a double membrane structure. And other along with that, you can also find there is a spongy mesophyll. So spongy mesophyll, when we mention, so all these are basically mesophyll cells, and random arrangement you can see there with lot of substomatal space. Like this is a spongy mesophyll, there is a intercellular space that you can find, and again let's say there is a continuity over here and this layer over here. Okay, and let's see, this one is the lower epidermal layer. Okay, so I'll just finish this off. So this one is a lower epidermal, and let's see, here is the guard cell or the stomata that is present. Okay, so this one is the lower epidermis now. So in this case what you can see, so basically you can see there is a arrangement that is done. So with lot of substomatal space you can find, and here you can find the escape of the vapor that can be done. So that is through the water, through the stomatal pore the water vapor is being escaped. So now this part what you see, so this is a palisade mesophyll, which is a parenchymatous cell itself. So this one is the spongy mesophyll, and here what you see, so this is basically a lower epidermis. So this one is the lower epidermis. So there is the upper epidermis and this one is the lower epidermis, and this is the stoma. Okay, so that is stoma you can find here, which is the guard cell you can find, and this one is the substomatal space. All right, so now with respect to all this, So what exactly do you observe? The palisade mesophyll and the spongy mesophyll having their own nuclei, having their own chloroplast. So these are the ones which are performing the photosynthesis function, since they have, like, per cell there can be up to 50 to 60 chloroplast will be there. So if we are just talking about per square of the leaf, so in that case you can find up to 50,000 to 60,000 chloroplast. Okay, so that is just per square all right, so that is square millimeter. So in that case, so many cells are there, and each cell is going to carry about 50 to 60 chloroplast. So there are about 50 to 60 chloroplast you can find per cell, and per square if we mention, so this is basically 50 to 60,000. So that means the chloroplast is where the chlorophyll is present, and chloroplast are present in the parenchymatous cells of the leaf mesophyll. So this one is the leaf mesophyll, and these are basically the parenchyma cells. So these two, what are there? So these two are parenchyma cells. Okay, so is that clear? Any doubt till here? Yeah, so this is the structure of the that is a transverse section, or basically longitudinal section of the leaf is shown. So cuticle, upper epidermis, lower epidermis, you can find there is a guard cell, stoma formation. Then you can see spongy mesophyll, vertical palisade cells you can find. So all these are basically the parenchymatous cells which are having about 50 to 60 chloroplasts. So you can just make a count here. Anyway, this is not 50 to 60, but there are, yes, 50 to 60 chloroplasts can be there, and they are the ones which are capturing the sunlight there. So cuticle, upper epidermis, chloroplast, vacuole is present as usual, like all the plant cells are having. The vacuole, the chloroplast, the cell wall, the nucleus, and everything will remain the same. Okay, then xylem and phloem, which is a vascular bundle you can find, so that is in the vein there. So this one is lower epidermis, so there is a air channel, that is basically substomatal space, and again below there is a cuticle. So I did not draw the cuticle below, right? So here also there can be a cuticle covering that can be present, that is just to prevent the degradation of this particular cell. So this is, there is a covering over here. All right, so let's have a look at the structure of chloroplast. I hope this is clear till here. Any of you, any doubt? No doubt? All right, so one second, I'll just open this up. Okay, all right, so here you can see the structure of chloroplast, which is a double membrane structure. So there is a outer membrane, there is a inner membrane. Okay, then you can see stromal lamellae, so that is connecting two of the granum, and this is a grana, the plural term. Okay, so granum is singular and the grana is a plural term. Then with that you can also find there is a stroma that is present. You can find it is having its own DNA, as well as the ribosomes are present, the starch granule, lipid droplets. So anyway, this and all is not mentioned, but yes, of course you can draw the ribosomes there, and you can just mention the DNA also, because the chloroplast, when we mention, it is having its own DNA. So with respect to that, you need to label all these parts. So let me just draw it here and explain you. Okay, so now there is a chloroplast. So this one is a double membrane structure. So this one is the chloroplast. All right. So now this one is a double membrane structure. So you can see there is one more membrane that we can draw with respect to this, which will indicate that there is a double membrane structure, chloroplast, present here. and here you can see the thylakoids that are present in there. So this one, there is a thylakoid, so you can find a pile of thylakoid, like many of the thylakoids are present here. So individually, so this can be called as a grana. Okay, so individually, so this is now a thylakoid. So let this one I'll just label. So this is now a thylakoid, and this one is the granum. Okay, and you can find the ground substance here. So let me just show you the ground substance. It is anyway colorless, but since I cannot show you the colorless here, so I'll just go with yellow color. So here and all, this one is completely, so the space what you find here, so this is completely having, so 1 second, so I'll just put up this ground substance completely. Okay, so now this ground substance here is stroma. So this is called as stroma, not stomata. Okay, so not that stroma. So this one is a ground substance which is a liquid, or we can say semi-fluid like material that you can find inside this chloroplast. And here you can mainly find this structure. So this is stroma, and suspended in the stroma itself you can find many of these structures here. So this one here, 1 second. So now this pile of thylakoid what you can find, so this is basically called as a granum, which is a singular term. Okay, so this one is the term which we use for a single, that is only one set of a granum is present. So this is a singular. Like this, if many are there, so let me just show you once. So here one more set I'll draw. So this is one thylakoid set. So pile of thylakoids you can find. So there is another granum. Now this is another granum. So both of them together, so we can just mention this is the plural term is the grana. So grana is the plural term. The singular term is basically a granum. Okay. Now this is the ground substance that you can find. Where is chlorophyll? Yes, I'll explain that. So difference between glucose and starch. So difference between glucose and starch. Okay, 1 second. Alright, so first I'll explain where exactly chlorophyll is present. So now this is the thylakoid membrane. So you can find the membrane of the thylakoid. Here is where you can find a chlorophyll that is present. So chlorophyll is present here in the thylakoid. Okay, so this is the thylakoid now. So same way each one of these are carrying their own thylakoid. So membrane of the thylakoid is where you can find the chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is present here in the thylakoid membrane. Is that clear? So you can find different types, like there is chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll C, D. So different chlorophylls are there. So membrane structure, that is thylakoid membrane, is where you can find a chlorophyll. So same way, like everywhere this we can cover it just here. So if I have to, let's say, I can just highlight it like this. So this is where you can find the chlorophyll. Okay, so this is just a highlight I'm doing for where exactly this chlorophyll is present. And now the another question was what is glucose and starch? So glucose and starch difference is that now glucose is just a monosaccharide. Okay, so monosaccharide is what? 1 second. So not here. Okay, I'll explain it here. Okay, so now glucose, when we mention, so glucose is just a single unit. So that is, it is a monosaccharide. That is only one set of or only one sugar molecule is present. So that is a monosaccharide. But now when we mention about the starch, so starch is polysaccharide. So what exactly is polysaccharide? Where you can find more than 10 units of glucose. So more than 10 units of glucose are present there. So it can be 12, it can be 13, it can be 20, it can be 28. So this is gonna vary, but make sure that only while the polymerization is occurring, so that is all the glucose units are being joined. So basically more than 10 units of glucose are being joined there, that is to form a starch. So starch is a polysaccharide, glucose is a monosaccharide. Monosaccharide, mono is single, saccharide is sugar. So single sugar is a glucose, Poly is many, so many sugar units you can find. Saccharide is a sugar, so many sugar units you can find, so that is a starch. Is that clear? During photosynthesis glucose is formed, okay, and later on, like all the glucose which is stored, so basically whatever amount of glucose is required, so that is being, that is used up. So rest of the glucose what is there, so that is converted into starch, many units of glucose are there, so all that can be converted into starch, and it can be stored in the leaf, or maybe in the seed, or in the fruit. So basically storage can be done. Yes, is that clear? Any doubt? All right. So now with respect to this, you can find there is a monosaccharide and a polysaccharide, and you can see that monosaccharide, that is glucose, is being formed. Later on, the excess amount of glucose which is there, so that is converted into starch. So now this is the structure of a chloroplast, where you have to do the labeling while you are drawing in your exam also. Just make sure that you draw the outer membrane, okay. So this one is the outer membrane, then make sure that you draw the inner membrane there, and here this is the inner membrane. This particular yellow one, so this is a ground substance, so this is a colorless one. Here anyway I cannot show colorless, and that's why I have added it a yellow one, but this one is a colorless ground substance, which is a semi fluid, and this is called as a stroma, okay. And as you all know that the chromosome is, the chloroplast is having its own ribosome, so you can find the ribosome suspended here in the stroma of this organelle. So these are the ribosomes, so that you can just do the labeling. So ribosomes you can show, and now just like the ribosomes are present, so this is having its own DNA as well. So I'll just write it here itself. So randomly the DNA is present, so DNA is there in the chloroplast, so this labeling you need to do. And other than that, the fret, that is stromal lamellae, so let me just draw it here itself. So now interconnecting these two structures, that is grana, granum and granum, which is a grana. So grana are interconnected, so that is by a fret, or this can even be called as a stromal lamellae. So since it is present in the stroma and it is connecting a grana, so it is called as a stromal lamellae. Okay. And other than that, some storage granules you can find, the there is a starch storage granule you can see in this. So there is a starch granule that you can find, some lipid droplets will be there. So let's say lipid droplets, if we have to mention, so maybe just one dot I can keep here. So here and there suspended lipid droplets you can find in this structure. So this is with respect to lipid droplet, and also you can find a major starch granules also there. So many starch granules can also be there, but anyway you need not draw that. The Selena textbook, which is the structure of chloroplast which is mentioned, so there it is only the outer membrane and a inner membrane is mentioned. Saccharide is the sugar, okay. So saccharide is nothing but the sugar. So monosaccharide, single sugar unit. Disaccharide, two sugar units. Polysaccharide, many sugar units will be there, okay. Alright, so now with respect to that, you can see this outer membrane, inner membrane, stromal lamellae, grana, stroma, ribosome, starch granule. You can find lipid droplets having its own DNA. So now where exactly the reaction is going to occur? So here this one is the thylakoid membrane, and at the thylakoid membrane itself you can see there is a light dependent reaction occurring. So now when we mention about the photosynthesis, let me just draw it here itself. Okay, I'll just explain it here. Okay, so now this is with respect to photosynthesis. So photosynthesis, you can see this is occurring in two of the major steps. So that is light dependent reaction. Okay, so there is a light dependent reaction, which can also be called as, so this one is light dependent reaction, so which can even be called as a photochemical reaction. So this one is a photochemical reaction. Okay, and other than that, so where exactly this occurs, just a second. Okay, so where exactly you can see this reaction occurring? So this reaction occurs in the thylakoid membrane. Okay, so thylakoid membrane is where the chlorophyll is present. I have drawn here. So the chlorophyll is present here in the thylakoid membrane, and that is where the photon is being absorbed. Like, photon is taken and excitement of the electron you can see, and that's the reason the light dependent reaction, that is photochemical reaction, so that will occur in the membrane of the thylakoid. Okay, so since it requires a light there is another reaction that occurs, so that is a light independent reaction. So that means, anyway, it is also called as a dark reaction, so does not mean that it occurs in the dark. So here the meaning is that chapter 1 2 3 4 aa gaya. So chapter 1 2 3 4 I have done. Like, first chapter is what? Cell cycle, cell division is done. The genetics is done. Then also the fourth one, that is absorption by root, is done. Transpiration. So transpiration, anyway, I'm doing one session tomorrow. That is, I think, at 5:15. Okay, so 5:15 I'm taking a session on transpiration, where I'll be discussing about the Genox photometer and other things. But anyway, this one, the rest of the topics I have done. So from the first chapter, that is cell cycle, cell division, the structure of chromosome is also discussed, the genetics, called as a dark reaction. Okay, why exactly this is called as a dark reaction doesn't mean that this is gonna occur only in a dark, like, at night. No. So this one, for this reaction to occur, light is not required. So that itself is the meaning, light independent. So that means the light is not required for the reaction to occur, but it can still occur at night. It can still occur even during the day. So lot of the students, they get confused when we mention dark reaction. So they'll think that this occurs in dark, and this occurs in light condition, that is during the day, and this is during the night. No, both are gonna occur. So soon after the light reaction is done, within a few fraction of seconds, the dark reaction is gonna occur. So there is no much gap here. So that means both are occurring in the light itself, but here for this reaction to occur, the light is required. For this reaction to occur, the light is not required, and hence the name, it is just a dark reaction is kept. So that is just to differentiate. So light independent or dark reaction, so which can also be called as a biosynthetic pathway or the biosynthetic reaction. Okay, so remember every alternate names which are given here. So these are going to help you, like, in exam they can ask you write a photochemical reaction or write a biosynthetic reaction. So you might keep thinking like, what exactly is this? So just remember every alternate name which is mentioned, so that it will be a practice for you all right. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So now you know the light dependent or the light independent reaction. So where exactly this occurs? So I told you that this occurs in the thylakoid membrane, and light independent reaction you can see here in the stroma. So I'll just label in the diagram itself so that it will be clear for you. Okay, so this is the diagram of the chloroplast, and here you can see, so this is the site where the light reaction occurs. Okay, so light reaction occurs here at the thylakoid, and this one is a stroma. So stroma is where you can see the dark reaction occurring. Yes, is there any doubt? Is this clear? All right, just a second. Okay. All right, so while you are drawing, so in your final exam also, while they ask you to draw a structure of chloroplast, make sure that you are drawing a double membrane structure, because the chloroplast or the mitochondria, so these are all double membrane structures, so even the nucleus. So whenever you draw a structure of a chloroplast, make sure that you label the outer membrane, inner membrane, show the stroma there, which is basically a ground substance. Make sure to draw at least two of the grana there, okay, so that you can just show this fret, okay, so that is stromal lamellae, or which can even be called as a fret. So this one, make sure that you are labeling them. Then ribosome should be drawn, the DNA can be drawn, and other than that, you can, like, it is completely your choice to show this granule. That is basically, this granule is starch granule, okay, so this is not compulsory, so this is completely a option. And this one, what you see, so this one is anyway a lipid droplet, so this is completely your choice. So here, make sure that you are drawing outer membrane, so this is important, inner membrane important, granum important, grana important, the ribosome important, the stroma, so all this, and along with that the stromal lamellae. So if this part, like, if all these labelings are there, then you are going to get out for the structure of the chloroplast. So this was asked, or if not structure of chloroplast, if it is not given, so usually they can give a diagram based questions on this one, so that can also be done. So you can anyway practice through this. All right, any other doubt other than this? Okay. Alright then, so structure of chloroplast is done. So light energy is trapped by the membrane system, which also synthesizes the ATP and the NADPH. So here basically energy synthesis can occur, and the same energy is used up in many different reaction, that is to synthesize the glucose mainly, okay. So later on, once the glucose is synthesized, so this is getting oxidized, which is a respiration process actually. So glucose gets oxidized, and then there is a formation of carbon dioxide, water, which are a waste product, and the energy is being produced. So now, in order to produce a glucose, some amount of energy is being used up. Later on, once the glucose is formed, so there is a huge amount of energy formation that can occur. So one glucose can form up to 38 ATP molecules. So that means you can find basically a lot of ATP is being produced by the cellular respiration process. So these are the source of energy itself, the ATP and the NADPH. Now light reaction are going to occur in the grana thylakoid, that is in the thylakoid membrane, and the dark reaction occurs in the chloroplast stroma. So this is the ground substance. So stroma is where you can see the dark reaction occurring. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So top of fact, so while most plants prepare their food by the photosynthesis, so some parasitic species are there. So of plants, so that are exception to this. You can see this is a parasite. So there is a tree growing, and this is taking all the nourishment from that particular tree. So this is basically cascata is example, then mistillate is example, okay. One second. Yeah. So these are the example. So holoparasites, when we mention, so they lack chlorophyll. So there is no chlorophyll, and therefore they are getting their food from the other sources. So that is the cascata. So that is a parasite itself, which is drawing the nourishment from the tree or the other plant basically. Now hemiparasites, when we mention, so they have the ability to synthesize their own food, that is to some extent. So however, they still derive the resources that is from the host plant. So example is this one, so that is mist lurty. Okay, so this is the example where you can see, it is anyway having a capacity to synthesize own food, but to only to a certain extent. So now as it requires more nourishment, so it will derive the resource or the energy, basically food, from the host plant. So this is the host plant now. And you can see this plant is growing in bundles over here, that is deriving the energy from the parent plant. Okay, so in that case we always say that the plants are autotrophs. So some heterotrophic plants also you can find, like insectivorous plants are there, so they are consuming a insect. And other than that, the plants like this, that is holoparasites and hemiparasites are also present, which are basically an exceptions there. Okay, so these are exceptions. So any doubt till here? I hope it is all clear. Okay, so let me just check once. Okay. All right, so we have a batch, that is gladiators batch, which is all subject batch for ICSE class 10. So start date was 1st of June, but yes, you have an option to watch the recordings that are available. So any doubt that you get, you can just join the Telegram channel of that particular educator and clear your doubt. And yes, there are many more sessions which are yet to go live, so you can take up the live sessions as well. And here in the gladiators batch, the mode of delivery is English. So if you are subscribing for class 10, okay, so that is complete 12 months, so you will be getting class 11 and class 12 subscription absolutely free along with the class 10. So in the meanwhile, you can prepare for the same. So introducing community, so never miss on any update from your favorite educator. Get session notes and practice material. Share your feedback directly with the educator poll. So basically you can join the community, any notes that will be there, so that will be sending there, or can be conducting a poll, or you can just clear your doubts there as well. Also, there is a bugs bounty opportunity for all learners to report any inappropriate content in the video. So be the first one to report a particular issue to claim your prize. Report any inappropriate content using the form in the description. All right, so see you all in the next session. So thank you all. Subscribe to our channel, that is Unacademy ICSE and ISE both. Click on bell icon to get notified about this session. Like and share the video with your friends, and download the Unacademy Learners app. And if you need this PDF, anyway, I can send this PDF on community or maybe on Telegram, so you can just ask me for this if you need it. Okay, so you can download the Unacademy Learners app and start taking up the special classes that are available, where we'll be conducting quizzes. So all you need to do is go to Play Store and download the Unacademy Learners app and start using this to to crack your finals. Okay, so see you all in the next session. Bye bye everyone, take care, thank you.